Hello, everybody. Welcome to the sprint race here in EUROCUP-3 at Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari, known affectionately as just Imola, the world over. Fantastic racetrack, ready for another wonderful race from this great series. We had a very exciting first race this morning. My name is Chaz Draco, and I'm delighted to have alongside me Zach Sweeney in the commentary box. Zach, I just alluded to that first race of the day, but it certainly kept us busy in the commentary box, didn't it, mate?
It did indeed, and to no surprise, really, Imola is a fantastic circuit, and it proved it earlier on the day in race one. We had two safety cars and our fair share of drama, but also some brave moves. You know, people trying different things. We had a move from Bart Harrison around the outside of Piratella. We had moves around the outside of Tosa. We had some slightly less successful moves around the outside of Tamburello, but that's another discussion, and one that I'm sure the drivers will be looking to sort of learn their lesson from a bit earlier on today. We did have a number of penalties handed out a bit earlier on as well that I wanted to run through, most notably for Daniel Eita, his maiden victory stripped away from him by virtue of a 5-second time penalty for the squeezing of Keanu Alizari off the race start. We did note that Keanu had to put two wheels onto the grass on the left, and as such that promotes Ian Eichmann's to his first victory of the season and up into P2 in the championship, amongst another of other penalties as well, the likes of Bart Harrison being given 10 seconds, Jean-Marc Pradel 5 seconds, Bologna 5 seconds, and Nacho Tugnon being given 10-second time penalty, Chaz. And get this, for using his push-to-pass under a safety car.
What? I didn't see that one. That one passed me by. But I suppose they're not allowed to use it then. But what benefit would you have by using it?
You wouldn't. That's why it's a silly penalty to pick up, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that's yeah. And you know what? That could be, just thinking about it, that could be something as simple as you go to press the radio button on the steering wheel, for example, and you press push to pass by accident. It can be as simple as something like that. But yeah, it's a big, big shame. The weather's looking wonderful, and we have got the wonderful Alex Garcia down on the grid, enjoying the sunshine for himself. Alex, it looks great down there at the moment. We should have a very exciting race ahead of us here.
Hello guys, and well, more than the sunshine, which is enjoyable enough but not in excess, what I am enjoying, and this might be interesting for the rest of the race, is a light breeze, which is very lovely. It feels very nice on the skin, but for these guys it may mean that on some of the corners a little bit of a crosswind could make things a little bit spicier for them. Don't get me wrong, it's not a huge wind, it's not super strong or anything, but there's a 20-minute race. Things could change potentially a little bit over the next few minutes, so let's keep an eye on that, because that's always an interesting element on a day where clearly rain is not going to play any factor, as we said earlier this morning, but the temperatures are much higher, and this is something that drivers are going to have to contend with.
Well, what about James Agozi? Obviously, one of the main talking points from that first race of the day was his retirement from that race. So where is he at the moment? Because obviously I imagine that the car was fixed and he's back out there, because it didn't seem like too much of a big issue.
So from what I have heard, it seems like the issue could have been a fuel pump issue. So that, of course, is fixed for the second race of the weekend. And I had the chance to talk to him a little bit on a couple of separate occasions. And, you know, I was saying, mate, there's two more races this weekend. He said, well, you know, sprint race is going to be a little bit difficult from P12 on the grid, but let's just try for it, you know. In fact, he even said, I was considering just putting new tires and just going guns blazing and going for it. He said, probably not a smart choice, so let's just instead go with fresh tires, not new tires. But he said, you know, if it was my choice, I might have just wanted to go for it. So it just shows you that he knows he's in a good position, he's confident, he knows that he's driving well, and he has enough good sense of humor to just joke a little bit about what happened, even though it is, of course, unfortunate.
Yeah, it's great to know that he's still got that positive mindset about it. And Zach, I mean, you know what some of these drivers are like coming up through the ranks. You know, it's important to have that positive mindset even when things don't go your way, right?
100%. You know, for a lot of these drivers, they've come through the ranks of WSK, IAME, and Euro Series, World Series in karting, and you know they go through a lot of races over those weekends. And for James Agozi, he's now done 226 total races in his career, as per his website. I will cite my sources. 3 Rotax, 60 Mini, OK, J, OK as well, and he was the Supermaster Series champion back in 2023 of WSK, which is a series that plenty of current Formula 1 drivers have won. the crux of what I'm trying to say is they go through, I don't know, over the course of 2 or 3 months in karting, upwards of 30 individual races. So they know how to ride the highs and also how to sort of cope with the lows, and then equally how to quickly bounce back from that. When you then step into single seaters, you still got a 3-race weekend format, so you sort of do know that there are more opportunities to come. You do need to capitalise on them a little bit more because they are a little bit more consequential than just a heat race in karting. But ultimately, he knows that mentality. He knows how to bounce back, get his composure, and ultimately, he knows he is still the favourite to win this championship, and that's going to be filling in with a lot of confidence.
Absolutely, and a driver that will have a lot of confidence going into this second race of the day, Alex, surely is Ian Eichmann's, because we noted earlier that he seemed quite happy about second place, but he knows just how fast the Palo Motorsport cars are. Did you manage to get a chance to have a word with him now he's been promoted to race winner of race 1?
Not after he's been promoted to race winner, no, but I had plenty of chances to talk to him last year, so I know that he's very calm, very collected, very reasonable and very realistic. If you remember what he said after finishing second earlier this morning was, I know that I'm missing a little bit of racecraft as opposed to some of the drivers who have been in single seaters for a little bit more than I have. Remember that he's only on his second season in car racing. He started his career in single seaters a little bit later than usual due to lack of funding, and he was basically picked up by the Richard Mille, let's say, promotion program, which they always have a bit of a selection at the end of the year. And I have to say, by the way, that they might just be almost the best I've seen picking drivers, because no driver that they ever pick goes wrong. And Ian Eichmann is just very realistic with that. So I'm sure that he'll just be going for whatever he can get on this race. He has to get points. He's P2 in the championship. That is always a good position. Winning the championship might be a bit too much to ask, not necessarily for him, but for the team, which right now is perhaps a bit far behind from Palou. But hey, season's long. So if you're going to go for it, the thing you need to do, guess what it is? It's scoring points.
Yeah, absolutely. Points mean prizes in motorsport and in all forms of competition. So interesting to see how Ian Eichmann's controls himself over the rest of the championship. But taking that first win, obviously having race win number 1 under your belt, but getting that because of somebody else's penalty, he will surely want to go and take that on track next time round. Exactly.
I have to feel for him. Of course, one has to feel for Dalagnol as well, because missing that first win is just dreadful. After you celebrate, you have that moment, it's taken away from you. It's just bad. But also for the driver who inherits that win, if it's your first win, not being able to celebrate it kind of sucks, if you'll allow me to say it plainly. Yeah. So he'll want to get that good result. Maybe more so tomorrow than today. But for today, guys, I have to say, these guys right here outside, those first 2 rows of the grid, I find them fascinating, because they are drivers who are not necessarily the ones you would expect. They are quick, they are hungry, and they have a chance to take a win that might be what might change their, maybe not their whole careers, but definitely the trajectory for the year. One driver in particular, though, might change his career if he wins it, which is Juan Cota. Remember, wildcard this weekend, guest driver for TC Racing, starting second. Talked to him before the race, and I asked, going for a podium? He said, nah, going for first.
Wow. Well, a lot of confidence then from Juan Cota, but he will be, I'm sure, fired up, and he's got that opportunity now to go from the very front of the grid, as Alex rightly pointed out, starting second in that number 11 machine for TC Racing. Good to have him here with us, I should say. I think last time it was Luca Vicerino that was driving that machine previously. I had him down as number 11, so I did wonder where Cota was when I was going through my order earlier. Obviously, hadn't put 2 and 2 together there to make number 11 at that point. But on pole position here, Zach, an interesting one to have is Patrick Husenroder. He was going really well earlier on in that first race. He's definitely one of the quickest guys here this weekend, but he starts from pole position.
Does indeed. Let's run you through the grid. Juan Cotter starts alongside him on the front row of the grid. Behind that, Enzo Tarnvinichkul and Kasper Schutter from row number 2. He's confident that he's got the pace to go for the podium from the second row of the grid. Alongside, of course, the Red Bull Junior, it's going to be a feisty one down in towards turn number 1. Trapper alongside Verhaeghe will be looking to, well, bounce back, I'm sure, after, well, not a very long campaign in race number 1, let's be honest, for DriveX. Jean-Marc Bradel starts 7th alongside our race 1 winner of Ian Eichmann's, the Belgian, I'm sure, filled with confidence and, well, hopefully getting an opportunity to practice the racecraft he admittedly lacked. Parad from Al Hazari from row number 5. The Emirati will be looking to go forwards from 10th. Delagnol, who will be gutted but still steamed up to go forwards alongside his teammate Egozi on row 6. Powell from Harrison on row number 7. They keep each other company on that chase towards Tamburello. Strauven, the reigning Spanish F4 champion, alongside Feldman, who did fold very early on in race 1 earlier, starts 16th from Fiorentino. And Nacho Tugnon, the hardest charger of race number 1, up 11 positions before demoted after his penalty. The Bulgarian of Pistangiev alongside Panetta, then comes Harfield and Campos starting this race alongside him on row 11. Kolovos from Bianca Bustamante, the hardest charger all season long, up a net 36 positions from Paul Ricard. Barbary from Coretti on P26, then comes Stephen Haydens and Bologna, 27th and 28th. Benjamin Beckley from René Lammers, a poor qualifying for the Dutchman, but he'll be looking to go forwards from the very back of the pack. And Chaz, I can take a breath.
Nicely done, Zach. Nicely done. I threw that to you last minute as well. Fair play to you.
Did the same at Aragon, mate. Did the same at Aragon. You love it.
Oh, you got to keep it friendly, you know. I've got to spread the love and all that. But yeah, it's certainly looking hotter than it was before now on the circuit. You can just tell, you know, the sun is really bearing down on this place. Look at the heat haze there. I love that effect. It's one of my favourite things that you often see at racetracks. It looks like there's massive puddles across the circuit. The way the reflections work is just nuts. But yeah, that is just pure temperature that is rising from the tarmac here. We are sharing the circuit with the European Le Mans Series here this weekend, and they have obviously been pounding around this place for a long time today as well, and they will be across the course of the weekend. So it's not like it's just our little Dallara 326s that are going to be putting the rubber down. Cars that, by the way, I think look absolutely phenomenal. I think, with no disrespect to GB3, I think that these cars look far superior than the absolute spaceships that we have in GB3. They're so long, those GB3 cars. But either way, these are nice, short, stocky little, more squared off Formula 3 cars, and I really do like the look of them. And we've got a beautiful grid, and as you can see, they're all formed up now. Very quickly, Zach, any predictions?
We're going to have a race, and, well, there's going to be some drama at turn 1.
There absolutely may be. Let's get this underway then. The second race of the weekend, the sprint race here at Imola, is underway. It looks like a bit of a poor start from Kota, and the driver not getting away. Oh, goodness me. That was Tarnvinichkul, and he has been smacked into by a number of machines that have come from further back down the order. That will surely be a red flag, and they will not get far before that flag gets called for. Great start at the front from Huizenrode. Kota did hold on to second place, but ultimately the race has been red flagged, and it was Tarnvinichkul. I really got his name wrong there, trying to call it out quickly. Looks like Feldman, Bostandiev and Panetta haven't gotten moving either from where they were on the grid. So we'll obviously confirm who else was involved in that one, but quite a big impact there from the back of the Red Bull Junior machine, and that is a big shame to see. Hopefully everyone okay. We will obviously bring news when we can, but yeah, not the way we wanted to get this sprint race underway there, Zach. I think everyone was a little bit too excited for this shorter race to get going.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, ultimately, you know, you've got 30 cars all barreling towards Tamburello. They all want to get the best start possible, and as a driver, you know, you're nervous. Standing starts are not easy at all. You've got a lot of horsepower to manage. You've got the clutch slip and everything to manage, and then also the nerves. And, well, just look at the aftermath of it as well, having to climb out of the car as a result. Big shout out, by the way, to all of the marshals and the medical crews and everyone down on circuit there at Imola to be on scene and be there as soon as possible to make sure everything gets done as safely as possible. A shot from the rear end of the pack. Who was it that got away slowly at the front? Was it Tarnvinichkul? I think it potentially was, that stalled on the grid, and then a very innocent bystander, I think, of Panetta that just tried to go to the left and then got caught up in all of it all. I mean, it's easily done, and, well, there we go. I said there was going to be drama at turn 1, didn't I? We didn't even get that far.
I think it might have been Feldman that collected him initially, and then the 23 of Bostandiev was the car that somehow got turned, and then, yeah, another car ended up on top of them, which was Panetta. That's nuts, absolutely nuts. We're going to go to Alex, who's in the pit lane. Alex, we can see a car on our screen with a bit more damage and everybody coming back round, but yeah, pretty scary scene there, but it looks like everyone's okay.
Yep, that's exactly what I wanted to report here. I just had both Tarmaniscul and Panetta just walk by me after they got off their cars, which were probably the ones that looked a little bit scarier from even our position, which we could see straight from our position. But as I said, luckily they're both out of the car. They're now exchanging a little bit of opinions on how that start was, but most importantly, they're just fine. So, good news.
Good stuff. Thank you very much, Alex. Really appreciate that. It's always good to know that everyone is all right. But again, just highlights the safety of these race cars, doesn't it? And we could see from that initial angle, there is Feldman's car. Look at the way the nose is bent in. But it's done its job. The crash structure and the structural rigidity of the car still seemed fine. It's just obviously the bodywork and everything broken off. But yeah, Feldman sort of hit from the left front to right rear. And it did look like actually Feldman was probably keeping an eye on cars either side of him. That's often what you do at starts like that, isn't it, Zach? Everyone moving around so much, you don't expect there to be a car stationary right in front of you.
No, not at all. And, you know, you kind of do have to be prepared for it, but you also can't let it consume your mind at a race start, right? You can't, compromise probably one of the most important phases of the race with a what if someone stalled, because you're not in control of that. All you're in control of is, okay, get my clutch bite point, get the revs, drop it, make up some places down and towards turn number 1. Ultimately, yes, fair enough, you maybe are in control of reacting to those incidents, but you've got probably less than 0.2 of a second to make a decision. You then maybe make the right decision or the wrong decision. If you make the right decision and swerve out of the way, you then risk going into someone else or going off the road and compromising your own run. And there are so many different variables that obviously mean that if you get through, fair enough, you might as well call yourself Lightning McQueen. If you don't, there's not really much blame that you can attribute to yourself, because it is just one of those things that happen. You're going at it with such speed and such adrenaline, and also for Tarmanickel as well, he's just sat there as a passenger hoping that no one hits him, and ultimately that was the case.
Yeah, it's interesting when you see Feldman, actually, it just looks like he turns left and goes straight into him. It's almost like he just goes in a straight line. You can see the orange car just in the middle of the shot, and bang, that's it. The two high-tech cars get collected. Tarmanickel goes over to the left-hand side, and Panetta tries to get out of the way, and then as the two cars just clip wheels, that's what puts Panetta's car on top at very slow speed. It looked a lot more dramatic than I think it was there, Alex, but like we say, luckily everybody okay, and it's just a case of, luckily now just clean up, I guess.
A bit of a broken, few parts of broken carbon fiber, and that's the big damage, let's say. And I want to say, and I know that Zach is not going to like this, but you did say we're going to have a race and there's going to be some carnage in turn 1. Well, we didn't even make it to turn 1, mate.
Zach's fault.
Hopefully there's no carnage in turn 1 when we restart, though.
Well, yeah, we often say in motorsport that safety cars breed safety cars, but I'm not quite sure about red flags. I think we'll be okay. But, you know, I think it's worth it to echo the sentiment of everyone was just excited, nervous to get away. These things happen. It's just, I think we were unfortunate in this circumstance, Alex, that it was a car near the front of the grid that stalled.
And one of the guys that I was looking forward to seeing the most in this race, because when Enzo Tarmaniscul is near the front, he's always exciting to watch. I'm hearing some of the engines roaring into life, but I'm not sure that we're having yet a restart time. I think it's mostly a case of checking that everything's fine. I will keep, of course, you informed if I get any information regards the restart. But in any case, what I can tell you, and I did have the chance to talk about this, especially during the Spanish Winter Championship, is that the clutch system on this car is, let's say, tricky to master. So this is something that drivers have been contending with, perhaps not as tricky as the famously difficult GP2 clutch from back a few years ago. But it is tricky nonetheless, and this is why we have also seen sometimes Keanu Al-Azari struggling with some of the starts, because he's trying to get that little bit of an edge, trying to be the quickest guy on track, the one who gets the lightning start. But if you try too close, if you fly too close to the sun, and this is very apt today, you get burnt. And this is probably, I think, what happened with Enzo.
Yeah, I think with a lot of things in motorsport, and I'm sure Zach will echo this sentiment as well, that very often being on the limit is what you want. You want to be just 1% off it, but as soon as you're 1% over it, that's when things go wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, on a hot day like today as well. I mean, it's one of those things where people are probably quite hot in the car. I know a lot of these drivers have raced in the Middle East, so they probably are quite used to quite a hot day. But ultimately, you're going to be feeling it in the car, and also as well, you know, we spoke about the track conditions. Race starts aside, when we do get driving again, and we've got all of this rubber build-up. Now on a cold track, you want as much rubber down as possible because it's going to help grip up the car. But because we've got ELMS, because we've got other sports series, we've got Porsche Cup here as well, you've got so much rubber going down. You've got an already very hot circuit, so you've got the oils from beneath the tarmac coming up to the surface as well. But ultimately, with that rubber build-up and a very grippy tyre in the form of the Hankooks that we've got, and the speed that you're carrying into some of these corners, what actually starts to happen, the car almost grips up too much and it starts to skip, and you start to actually start sliding. So in effect, the rubber build-up that you would usually love, probably maybe for a lap or two, you can extract a lot of raw pace. After that, though, you start sliding, you start skipping, you start understeering and oversteering, and then you actually start not to like it. So I think the conditions that we've got this weekend are actually very consequential, both for the drivers and how they're feeling, but equally in terms of how the cars are going to behave and handle by the time they actually get themselves back up to racing speed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's going to be a few more moving parts to this, especially with the race being shorter by a few minutes as well, that the drivers will have to think about. Alex, just a quick question as well regarding the cars that we have in the pit lane. I know you might not be able to see every single one of them with the curve in the pit lane, but we've got 4 drivers confirmed as involved in that incident. Have you heard anything of anybody else that won't take the restart here?
I haven't heard anything of anybody else, but I am seeing towards the front of the grid, or I should say the dummy grid or the lined up machines, you could potentially see that there at the end of the pit lane, there is being a little bit of a shuffling. You have to consider that we had the crash before, naturally, even before the first corner, so before the first sector was completed. So the positions that we have on the live timing, and therefore the drivers that came here in the order that they did it, may not actually be the order that we will have when the race is restarted. So I'm just following that right now from a distance, but there will be some shuffling of positions. I am seeing some cars being moved manually, so for sure some changes.
A lot of logistics involved in moving these cars around and making sure that everyone is in the right place at the right time. I imagine, Zach, that we will probably go back to just the original grid order sans the cars that were involved, right?
You would assume so. Let's wait and see before anything is confirmed, but that seems the most logistically easy. And fair is an interesting word to throw around in the world of motorsport, but arguably is the fairest. You know, if you got a lap or two in and you're a driver at the back of the pack that's gone through and, well, you can hold your hand up and say, you know, I came through the field, I made the overtakes, I stayed safe, I should be rewarded by a higher grid restart. You didn't even get to turn 1. So I do think that going back to original grid positions probably is the best way to go about it. It does just mean that we've got that logistical faff in the pit lane where everyone's reshuffling, probably arguing the toss a little bit, as is always the case in motorsport. But yeah, hopefully when we do get this race underway, and also how long of the race we get to go as well, in order to, I guess, keep on schedule on what is a very busy ELMS weekend.
We can see 2 of the GRS cars there, Stephen Hayden's and Coretti, cars 70 and 44, just being moved around. Looks like one of the DriveX machines, I think that's Bornia, has been moved over to the right to allow the 44 to go through. It's like a really slow motion race in the pit lane, this, that we're watching right now. But yeah, as Zach said, I think the proper English word for it is faff. It is a bit of a faff sometimes in these conditions especially. Looks mighty, mighty toasty down there. But everyone now just on standby, effectively, umbrellas out and everything to make sure that they have whatever shade they can get around the track, or at least around the pit lane. And now you can see the marshals heading down there with clipboards and all sorts to make sure everyone's in the right order. Now I'm going to do what we call being an 11 Arif in English now and say, trust me, this is a lot worse when you have to do it with racing trucks rather than Formula 3 cars. We sometimes have red flags where they sit in the pit lane, and the pit lane is only as wide as 1.5 trucks. So they have to try and move them around. So I still don't envy the mechanics and engineers having to move the cars like this, but I like to say it could be worse, I suppose. But I imagine there's maybe a bit more pressure on drivers' minds now, Alex, because they have to sit and wait for this restart. They have to think about what they did last time and then how to do it all again.
Pretty much, this is what drivers, I think, tend to hate. They would never admit it, but they hate it. because they are sitting in a racing car and the racing car is not moving. And this is the worst thing you can do on a race car, both for yourself and for its mechanic components. But no, of course it adds a little bit of stress because now you have to redo it. There's less time for you to do it because the race is being shortened a little bit because there has been some time of racing. So, as you know, drivers tend to like to finish as high up as they can in a given competition. And that means that you have to do it. And if you have less time to do it, it means you just have to start and do it as quickly as you can. And if you try to do it too quickly, that's when safety cars happen. And that's when the race gets interrupted. And that's when we end up with more safety cars, more yellow flags. As you said before, cautions breed cautions or yellow flags breed yellow flags.
They absolutely do, yeah. So hopefully red flags don't breed red flags as well. But I'm really excited to see. Now we get the second opportunity at this start here, Zach, that Juan Cota is going to start on the front row again and maybe have another go here at Huizenrode, because it looked like he didn't get the initial start he would have wanted first time round.
No, and I reckon he's up at the steward's office begging for a reduced distance, to be honest, because that's going to make his life much easier, isn't it? Yeah, he's coming in as a wild card. And honestly, what Alex said at the beginning about his confidence, right? He's come in and he's like, oh, yeah, like a podium. And like a reasonable thing for a driver to say is, oh, yeah, I sort of, kind of brush it off and go, it's the aim, but, I'm going to be realistic and say if I can hold on to a top 5 on a wild card weekend, that would be great. He's just turned around and gone, now I want to go and win it. I'll be honest, I really do respect that from a driver. I really, really do. He represented Team Spain in the 2024 Motorsport Games F4 Cup and won that representing them. So he's a driver that knows his stuff. He knows what needs to be done. He knows how to race in a very competitive field. And now he just has to do it at a slightly higher level. Easy as that, surely. But no, he's going up against some very esteemed drivers, very well-decorated drivers as well around him. And he's not scared. And it's that lack of fear that will either be his best friend or his biggest detriment.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like engines are getting ready to go now, Alex, and we've just been given word it's going to start behind the safety car rather than a full grid start.
Yes, this is normal. As we would have a red flag, the restart is always one lap behind the safety car, then the safety car will go back to the pit lane, and then we will have a rolling start. So that's what the plan is going to be. I was just going to show you the championship leader, James Segot's behind me, because due to the heat, we were having one of the mechanics just before the engines went on, just using that fan on the driver to make sure that he was as cool as possible. They are all very cool, I have to say, but in a literal sense as well. And as you see, cars are moving, so bring it on.
Bring it on indeed. Let's get this race back underway, shall we? All the drivers leave the pit lane. By the look of it, from what we know at the moment, we have everybody barring the 4 drivers that were involved in the incident, which was Tan Van Ichkel, Feldman, Bostandiev and Panetta. We'll obviously confirm if there's anybody else that doesn't head back out there when they go through the first sector. We'll be able to check that from our timing screen. But thank you very much, Alex, for getting down there very quickly and making sure that he was able to bring us some more insights from the pit lane. And again, Zach, you mentioned the marshals before, obviously with such a quick response to the vehicles themselves, but they cleared that one up pretty quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, logistical faff as we dubbed it, and they did as brilliant as they could. Professionals in their own right, and yeah, really, really good stuff to see. And I mean, it's a testament, I guess, to all of the hard work of everyone down at the circuit. So big props to them. Can see the timer ticking down because we are back on the racetrack, so 16 minutes left from what we can gather. And of course, Patrick Huizenrode will start this one from what will be a pole position, if you like, for the restart. He's in control, and I don't know, would you prefer a rolling start or a standing start? The standing start, you've got a lot more to manage, but the rolling start, you're carrying a lot more speed into turn number 1, arguably on some slightly cold tyres, and also the driver behind you has got a full start-finish straight worth of slipstream to use down into turn 1. We've already said how aggressive we think the Spaniard is going to be by the time they reach it.
Yeah, I don't know, because of the slipstream, I think it's going to really change the dynamic of going down that straight. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this one goes. It does say that Beckley is leading the way at the moment, I think just based on where the timing line is and where the drivers were lined up in the pit lane. It's crossed him over the line an extra time, so hopefully that will get sorted out automatically and he will be put on the correct lap for that. It does look like Fiorentino hasn't continued on in the race. He's still showing us in the pit lane according to our timing screen, so I think maybe he might have picked up a bit of damage or something from the first incident. Good to know that the drivers are all okay, though. Shows you just how safe these machines are. I mean, we had a good look, didn't we, at Feldman's car. The whole side pod and everything had been ripped clean off down the side. It was just like someone deleted it completely, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. And we spoke in race 1 about how robust these Dallara 326s are, and they're very good chassis, to put it bluntly. You know, they're robust, but ultimately they do their job. And as much as like a crash like that looks really, really bad, ultimately the driver would have got out and we saw it. We're fine, right? Because the chassis has done its job. It's absorbed all of the impact, all of the G-force, and the driver's been able to walk away unscathed, which is, yeah, really, really good to see. And also we spoke about just their general robustness. I remember back at Portimao watching race number 1, and a car literally got rear-ended on the straight down into turn number 1, did a full 360, carried on as normal. Can't quite remember as to who it was, but I'll tell you the full story. I was on the Stairmaster at the gym, and I got the weirdest looks in the world when I reacted to that incident. And I just think it's a testament to how well built these cars are. Well, hopefully they won't need to use their robustness when we get this race back underway. But yeah, we'll see. Patrick Huizenrode, Juan Cotter, Casper Schutter, and Trapper now the top 4 with Tyrone Inchgall's absence. Could be quite spicy, I reckon, down into Tamburello.
A big thanks again to Alex Garcia. He's just messaged the pair of us to say that was Powell that got turned around down at turn 1 at Portimao. I believe in the DriveX car is Powell. Am I getting this right? I'm probably not, am I? No, he's in the Griffincore car, isn't he?
Yes.
I remember that there was DriveX cars made contact with each other at turn 2 at Portimao. I remember seeing that. But yeah, the big spin. To be honest, Zach, I think if I ever went on a Stairmaster at all, I'd get weird looks as well, so don't worry about it. But right now, I'm excited to see what Huizenrode can do from the front of this grid. We've got Kota second, of course, leading the rookies as well in that beautiful TC racing machine. I really do like their livery. Really good looking sort of orange and bronzy sort of gold cars that they've got. And we'll see now how Huizenrode manages to manage this start. He's taking it nice and easy into the final corner. He's not doing much weaving yet. I imagine he'll do that as they get onto the start-finish straight. Here he goes. They've all seen it before and they all learn, don't they? They all do a very similar thing. He's going to keep weaving, and he's just going to wind the lock off and get on with it. Doesn't look like they're in any form of order, but trust me, they are. There's that rubber laid down on the inside of the circuit, and we're underway for the sprint race here at Imola in EuroCup-3, and the slipstreaming is instant as they head down towards Tamburello for what is the first time. Side by side in the background there, car going left, then right. I believe that is the DriveX machine of El Fagali. There's a bit of contact in the middle, car around in the middle of Tamburello. Manages to get back onto the circuit, but he's stationary. Hopefully doesn't get collected by anyone else. Brilliant avoidance by just about everybody. Kota under pressure now from Stuka, but a great start again from Huizenrode.
Yeah, I think that was Parad that we saw go around the number 20, down to 25, the number 33 below Motorsport machine. So now down and, effectively out. There's the 27 as well. Delagnol, he cannot catch a break this weekend. Stuck in the gravel there. Again, Palau Motorsport, 2 cars, the favourite team coming into this weekend, and the sprint race has not gone their way in the slightest.
It really hasn't, and he looked stuck in the gravel as well. That didn't look like it was a car that would be moving anywhere. There's a car there with damage on it, and that is Harrison. Car 77. He's had a very busy day, hasn't he? He has, and now he's got his front wing completely side on, and already we go back behind the safety car. Incredible stuff, just how quickly they managed to bring that one to a halt. And yeah, Delagnol will be absolutely gutted with that already. Just completely beached in there as well. You can see that the whole car is bottomed out. Here's a look back at the start from down the straight, and there is the move one way then the other by El Fagali. Just having a look to see where the initial contact comes in. So Harrison, oof, that's scary by Parad. Yeah. So yeah, Delagnol is the one that has actually caused that contact. I did wonder if it was one of the Palau cars that was in there, and it's broken the front right. So when he gets to the Villeneuve chicane, all he can do is go straight on into the gravel. Oh, that's devastating. Absolutely devastating. I don't feel as bad for him now, knowing that he was involved in the initial incident, but you never know whose fault it was, I guess. So we'll have to speculate. We're good at that. Yeah,
we are. That's probably one of the only things we are good at, to be fair. But yeah, no, and talking sometimes. But yeah, no, it's a shame, but again, it's a pinch point at turn number 1, right? You're approaching Tamburello at quite a substantial amount of speed, and you are still carrying quite a decent amount of speed into the left, but it does tighten up. Coming into the pit lane comes the 77 of Harrison, who was, of course, awarded the 10-second time penalty a bit earlier on in the day as well, and, well, in this one has to get a new front wing attached. The marshals and recovery vehicle straight there to collect Stalagnol, who, I mean, he's got so much potential this weekend, and on circuit, he was able to capitalise on it. Obviously, in the end, the final race result doesn't necessarily reflect that. Still got a podium, still keeps the podium streak alive, but that very swiftly came to an end in the sprint race. And, well, now he's got to not only watch the rest of this race, but now have the entire evening. And then, basically, what is tomorrow morning? Wake up, get in the car and go. And he's not got he's got a lot of time this evening to reflect on it. But tomorrow, he's got, I guess, not a lot of time to go through any data, to run through any race plans or anything. He's going to be, I'd imagine, in his head quite a lot heading into tomorrow, knowing that there is race-winning potential in that car that hasn't been extracted yet.
Yeah, and he's only made a couple of corners as well. That's the thing. It's not even like he's been going through the whole race and then had a technical issue or something stop him, like we saw earlier on for his teammate James Agozi. It's the fact that he's gone to make a move, it hasn't worked, and then he's put himself out of the race. You know, he's been involved in a situation where down at turn 1, his race has effectively come to a close. Sure, he made it a little bit further down the straight, quite technically, but yeah, he didn't get much further than that. Agozi's still on the circuit in 48 in 10th position. I couldn't find him for a moment there. I'm used to just looking at the top of the timing tower to see where he is. But of course, he has to fight his way back through from 12th position on the grid in this one. Harrison has now gone back out on the circuit. We saw him making his way around. It was Fiorentino, by the way, that stayed in the pits from earlier on, so he has not taken any further part in this race. And we're about to get racing once again. Here's Zach. We've got Huizenrode and Kota and Stuka all together. Trapper and then Fagali in 5th place. Are we going to see the same again from Huizenrode, do you think?
I think he's going to try and play similar games down into turn 1. He's done it once. Let's see if he can do it again.
Absolutely. Begins weaving now. Gets ready to get moving. You can see a number of the drivers behind him. They're not falling for it. They're not falling for that at all. They are just staying in a straight line. Gives shades of that Kimi Raikkonen meme from a very long time ago where the whole field's weaving and he's the only one staying straight, so just can't be bothered. And now we get moving as they head over the start-finish line, which is just on that kink there. Huizenrode leads us once more. Kota a lot closer to him this time than he was on that previous restart. Stuka and Trapper holding 3rd and 4th. A bit of movement left and right. Everybody trying to fill one another's mirrors as they head into Tamburello for the first time round the outside there. It looked like there might have been a move. I think that was the 41 of Powell getting back at Agozi. More contact and another incident further back. And that's the 31 machine of Barboy, who is off. I didn't quite catch the number on the other car. God, they don't want to do any racing here, as there's a big move down the inside under the inside of Kota. And everybody's just sending it. The heat's gotten to their head, Zach.
I think it has. I think the other car involved with Barbary was the Palau Motorsport, again, a parade. So unfortunate for the 33. And yeah, the TC Racing, you correctly pointed out, the number 31. They're still fighting Keanu Alazari to the outside there. Through Piratella, fighting away with the number 4 of Ian Eichmann's, our race 1 winner, back neutralised once again under safety car. Less than 7 minutes to go in this race, and yeah, these guys just really kicking it going. There is the Palau Motorsport Parade, and well, there's no coming back from that one. He got a lucky escape in the initial incident, and well, that's going to bring an end to his race. And it's frustrating, but you know, ultimately, maybe for these guys a bit further down in the field, they've got a little bit less to lose. You spoke earlier about how brutal this point system is. You know, only a third of the field are going to score points. So if you're fighting for P14 or P15, championship-wise, it's inconsequential. You know, do or die, go for those moves because you need to get into the top 10. But ultimately, you're never going to get into the top 10 if you don't cross the checkered flag. So it was a very aggressive, punchy start in the mid-pack, and to be fair, fairly clean from the front. You can't really knock the top 5, but beyond that, it was a little bit messy into Tamburello.
Yeah, we're going to see it here. I think Barboy there. Oh, he slows down because of the car ahead and gets smacked into in the side of the nose there by Perard. Looks like Perard actually was sort of avoiding another incident as well. Looked initially like Barboy was slowing down slightly because there was a check-up in front of him. And then, well, as he got turned around and hit, the car was basically invisible to a number of others. You could see the big damage to the nose on Perard's car. But again, just doing its job, nice and safe. Sure, it looks all battered and bruised, but at the end of the day, the driver isn't. They were straight out. The snatch vehicle was straight into the gravel trap and on it. And hats off to them. I did quite enjoy, part of me wanted to laugh at the fact that the marshal ran straight to the car and immediately put a ratchet strap on it. There was no sort of, can you move it? Can it drive on its own? He was already consigned to the fact that car was getting lifted off the ground and not going anywhere. But that's the efficiency of the marshals that we have here at Imola. Everybody absolutely on it. But there, unfortunately, is the end of the day for the 33 machine.
Patrick Huizenroder is going to be loving this, I can imagine. Maybe not. Maybe because he has to do another safety car restart and that brings its own challenges. But right now, he's just burning race time. Right, this is race time that he's not at full racing speed. This is racing time that he's not under a lot of pressure from Juan Cota or Casper Schütter or Gino Trapper behind him. He's able to cruise and, like I say, burn a lot of race time. So far this season, he's yet to stand on the podium. He's taken a best result of P4, and that was at race 1 a bit earlier on today. Beyond that, it's 2 other points finishes back at Paul Ricard in race 2 on the Sunday, and also a P6 back in race number 2 back at Portimao as well. So Patrick Huizenroder, this is a brilliant opportunity for the GB3 vice champion of 2025, and well, his first win since 2025 as well for Patrick Huizenroder, and also for Juan Cota. I know that he wanted to go and win this race, but if he can burn away a lot of it and only have, I guess, 2 laps to the finish, and take what is probably the easiest drive to the podium that you can get, provided you can deal with the composure and the pressure of the the minimal laps that you do get racing. You know, it's not going to taste the best, but it is going to taste, and that is the most important bit.
Yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, if the result sheet says that you won, some drivers, I suppose, won't mind how they got to the top of that result sheet. Whereas sometimes, we know that they like to be a bit sentimental of it. Alex is feeding me some wonderful information, telling me that Dallara Stradale that we see as the safety car here, 25 seconds a lap faster than last year's safety car. There's an improvement for you and shows you just how quick that thing is. Thank you very much, Alex. Across the line they go then. We get the race back underway. 3 minutes left to go, and we haven't had a full lap of green flag racing yet. Not sure if that's a good thing or bad thing for these lot, but side by side, up and down the order, Ngozi there, side by side with Powell. There's a move around the outside by the 84 machine of Trapper, trying it. A little bit of contact with the 2, and Stuka is off. Luckily, he doesn't get Stuka in the gravel, and now he's getting overtaken on the left-hand side. That's Fegali trying to come through there as well, is it not? Trying to get down the inside, then around the outside. It's not. It's Al-Azhari. What a move that is, Zach. That's committed.
Yeah, great stuff from both himself and Ian Eichmann, side by side still by the time they reach Tosin. To the outside goes the 48, our championship leader, mind you, of James Ngozi, trying to get through on the likes of Alex Powell. Straubing also in the mix, but some great battling between Eichmann and Al-Azhari there, on the limit and not a millimetre over it for Trapper and, of course, for Stuka. That did boil over slightly, but the number 2 did well to rejoin in a safe position. For Patrick Huizenroder, though, he's kept the lead, and what will be the third to final lap, the anti-penultimate lap next time by, if they're able to cross the line. It's actually going to be quite close. Might be the penultimate lap next time through. He has got a good couple of car lengths clear of Juan Cota. Gino Trapper, though, trying to reel in Cota and, well, bait him potentially into securing the Argentina P2 finish.
Absolutely. Al-Azhari now right behind Fegali, trying to get ahead of the number 7 DriveX machine. I saw that they were near each other in the timing tower, so definitely got that one wrong. So there is the bright pink number 14 machine. At least that's a very distinctive colour scheme, so you know exactly who's behind you. There's Nacho Tunion down the inside of the number 9 car of... Who on earth was that then that he was just overtaking? It was Straubing, wasn't it? There's been a bit of a drama there out of the final corner, as now it's Al-Azhari under attack as through on the left-hand side. Oh, dearie me, they're actually nearly 3 wide there as they head down there. Eichmann's doing his best to defend this. Suddenly he comes back under attack as they go into Tamburello, 2 by 2. We've got Ngozi in there as well with Stuka making a move around the outside of him. Al-Azhari off and in the gravel. Can he save that? Goodness me, it's actually damaged the left rear. The left rear is broken on Al-Azhari. Big dive through the gravel there for one of the Griffin Core cars. That wasn't Straubing, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was the 41. That's Alex Powell that's gone off with him. And I mean, to be fair for Al-Azhari, that was ambitious. It was bold. It was brave. It was very nearly brilliant, but not quite enough. And the Emirati will be pulling over to a halt. To be fair, brilliant display that we saw there with Ian Eichmann and trying to close into Fegali as well. But yeah, I mean, ultimately boiled over there. A small mistake from Al-Azhari, and well, that's going to spell the end of his race. Yellow flag, understandably, through the first sector. Hopefully not going to be a safety car, because that will almost inevitably finish this race under a safety car. Meanwhile, at the front, Patrick Huizenroder leading by a second.
Somebody just went flying off Aqua Minerale, then off into the gravel I didn't see who it was. I'm going to keep my eye on the timing screen to see who drops down the order, but somebody went absolutely screaming off into the gravel there. It just looked like the car didn't get stopped at all. Hopefully that hasn't brought anybody to a halt and they've been able to carry on, but wow, that was a very, very busy moment. It was Nacho Tunion. Nacho Tunion is flying down the order now, but flying at the front of the order is Huizenrode. He's got 1 second left. Now it ticks to 0 and we go on to the final lap. That was very, very close there. We actually just had to sort of hold our breath and just figure out whether they did there, but I committed to it like an idiot. Right now, though, we've got the DriveX machine of El Fagali sitting right behind Pradel in the MP Motorsport car. 5 different teams in the top 5 positions here, Zach. That's great to see.
Yeah, really good. Shows the level of competition in a championship that largely has been dominated by, Griffin Court and MP. Final lap of the race, though, and there you can see the number 12 of Gianmarco Pradel, the Aussie, just over his shoulder. He has got the number 7 of Fagali, who is, eager to prove himself this weekend. Definitely got the pace as the Lebanese driver, and ultimately does want to capitalise on that. He's got a P4 just in front of him. At the moment, he is on the rookie podium as well, so in order to keep that, he has got to keep the number 4 of Ian Eichmann's over his shoulder as well. Through Piratella for the final time and towards Acca Minerali. Each corner that ticks by is one less opportunity for these guys to fire a move. Patrick Huizenrode, though, looks to be unchallenged at the front end of the field. Whether or not these guys are going to settle their own disputes in towards the Variante Alta and then in towards Ravazza remains to be seen. But there is your race leader, Griffin Court by Campos, the Aussie of Huizenrode, searching for his first victory in 2026.
He's doing a great job of it as well at the moment, and we were wondering whether Eichmanns would have a go at El Fagali, but it looks like he's having to defend from Stuka more than anything. But down into Ravazza for the final time comes Huizenrode, car number 5 for Griffin Court by Campos, as a tear-off strip going one more time, and as he crosses the line, it's going to be one of the shortest races he'll have, but he's going to win it, and he will take that, I am sure. Very well done to Patrick Huizenrode. He takes the win. Kota holds on into second place, and Trapper finishes in third position. Fourth place is Pradel, and then it's El Fagali, Eichmann, Stuka, Igozi up into 8th place, Powell in 9th. Caretti finishes inside the top 10 and scores the final championship point of that one. They only get 10 points for the win in the sprint race, obviously, due to the reverse grid. It's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in terms of the points. But wow, a busy little sprint there, Zach. Even though we only got a couple of laps of racing, we still got a lot of action-packed laps of it, didn't we?
We did. I did enjoy that, in all fairness. The drivers maybe slightly not. The mechanics watching it, definitely not. But from a commentary perspective, from a spectator perspective, it was definitely a spectacle, to say the least. And I mean, that's kind of what you expect in a sprint race. Ultimately, that's sort of the aim of them, is to provide the intrigue, the gloves off racing, and ultimately it was a sprint to the finish. Big congratulations, of course, to Huizenrode for taking what is his first victory in 2026, and like I say, his first since his very consistent drive to the Vice Championship in GB3 last year. But one thing has to be said, though, for Juan Cota, on a race that, he didn't have to drive much of at full speed. He kept his composure, dealt with 2 or 3 safety car restarts, stayed with Huizenrode, still stayed within 1.6 seconds of him by the flag, and kept some very quick drivers behind him, like Gino Trapper, Gianmarco Pradel, and Fagali. Kept his composure, kept his cool, and drove to what is P2. I know he wanted the win, but you can't complain at a P2 and a rookie win as well, mind you. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the rookie win will mean a lot to him there to get that in class. But you're absolutely right. He may not have had long to go in that race, but he had to deal with some of the most challenging parts of these sorts of races, where you have a restart, you have a red flag situation where you've got to manage yourself and sit in the pit lane and try not to get in your own head too much. And Huizenrode did the same thing, but just one position ahead, I guess, and he managed to take that race victory. He will be over the moon with it, especially after his season, by the look of the results, started really difficult back at Paul Ricard. He had a 27th and a 13th was all he was classified. Only got 1 top 10 at Portimao. He's got a 6th place and then a 4th. So he had a 6th place and then a 4th here at Imola. But yeah, to take the win, brilliant stuff. And first time on the podium this season. He wins from Kota and Trapper, who gets himself a podium. Then it was Pradel and Fagali in 4th and 5th. Eichmanns finished in 6th position ahead of Stuka and Igozi. He had to defend that quite close to the line there at the end. And then it was Powell in 9th place ahead of Caretti. Straub in 11th ahead of Campos, Harfield and Lammers, with Kolovos finishing in 15th. Didn't see much of Kolovos in that race. Stephen Haydens was ahead of Bustamante. And then it was Harrison, Bunya and Beckley completing the top 10. Beckley did eventually go back into the correct position on the timing screen. And those drivers that were out of the race were Nacho Tunion, Alizari, Barbui, Perard, Delagnol, Florentino, Tom Van Hitchkel, Feldman, Bosjantev, and Panetta as well. So we lost a good 11 drivers in that one, Zach. But luckily, especially after that start there, everyone was okay.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the most important thing. Ultimately, it looks awful. Thankfully, they weren't up to full racing speed by the time the incident happened, and an unfortunate mistake for Tom Van Hitchkel there to have stalled, and as well, really unfortunate for those around him to get involved. Feldman, Bostandiev, and Panetta are all then getting caught up in an incident that largely they didn't have too much of a part in. When we did get back racing again, though, it was carnage from the initial get-go. Side-by-side battling, 3 wide we saw into Tamburello, and contact almost immediately from the outset. It was Harrison getting tagged around by Delagnol, who ultimately would end not only Harrison's race almost, but equally his own race as well. That ground to a halt as the front right suspension was broken, and, well, that was a very unfortunate day coming to a close for the Brazilian.
Yeah, absolutely. Harrison having to go back into the pit lane to get that wing changed. But yeah, Delagnol not going any further. So the beautiful Delara Stradale took to the front of the field once again. Huizenrode had another restart to contend with, getting away from Kota and Trapper this time round. The battles certainly kicked off behind Stuka, trying everything he could as well. And then as they all battled near the front end of the order, there was another incident brewing a little bit further back. We had Barbui in a spin on the exit of the first chicane, and then, of course, getting clipped by Perard, who didn't slow down much for the incident. Upon watching that back, actually, Perard speared into the accident. Luckily, again, though, both of them okay with the fantastic safety of these machines. And then Huizenrode, yet again, nailed the restart, didn't he, Zach? A really good job.
Yeah, all 3 executed to perfection. We had Stuka side by side with the high-tech of Gino Trapper 2x2 as they went through. It was Stuka that came off worse off as a result, but that race full of highlights, and one that I'm sure Alex is very much looking forward to having a chat with Huizenrode down in pit lane.
Yes, he's there now.
Exactly, we're here with the sprint race winner, Patrick Huizenrode. I know that they're getting your attention from out there. Race win, finally! It's been coming for a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tough start to the year. Coming off such a strong year last year to get even though it's a sprint win, it's a win. And everyone at Campos has been working so hard. We haven't been quite in the window this weekend, but to pull this is a really strong performance.
Although it isn't, of course, the usual kind of race that a driver likes to win it, because you haven't had many green flag laps. But how do you manage that? Because this is a different type of stress, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the safety car restarts down the main straight were a bit tricky given the length of the straight. I would have liked more racing because I was just pulling the gap, and it's satisfying. I get to do laps. But overall, across the line first. I hope everyone is okay from the start line crash. It sounded nasty. I didn't see it, but yeah, I mean, nice to get the number 1 in front of the car.
And what to expect for tomorrow?
Well, we're starting a bit further back for tomorrow. We had a tricky Q2, but I think we have a really strong race car. Race 1, P12 to P4. So let's see what we can do from back there. But yeah, with the heat and with this track and yeah, a lot of sends it seems to happen. Let's see what we can do.
Patrick, time to enjoy it. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So our race winner, guys, definitely one that makes him smile very much. And he has some friends right now that you're seeing. The hugs are coming all over the place because this has been, as he said himself, a difficult start of the year for him. So getting a good result is something, as you know, drivers sometimes need to get that confidence back, especially when things haven't been going their way.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially when we've got multiple races over the course of a weekend, the drivers need to keep their spirits high, and any result can really spur them on to another good result later on in the weekend. And I mean, you look at the opposite end of the scale, Delagnol, after taking that win earlier on, he lost it due to a penalty, and now he's got a DNF to go with him. It's going to be a bit of a difficult Sunday, I think, for him to come back and fight in. But yeah, you can see the Griffin Corps guys very, very pleased with that result for Huizenrode. But still at the top, though, we have James Agozi at the top of the championship by a long way. He's just similar to what we saw in the Formula 4 a few weeks ago, actually, with Coronel. He's just somehow holding on at the top despite not having a perfect day.
Well, we say holding on as if he's not 37 points clear. In fact, actually 39 points clear.
True.
When you add on his 2 points for pole position tomorrow morning as well. I mean, yeah, he's got the gap, and like Alex said, you know, he's in managerial mode. I mean, even only into the third round of the season, he's managing a gap, and he knows that he's not got as much margin for error, right? He can't take the risks that those around him can. So a P8 for him, and for his standards, probably not the best of scenarios, but he managed a very hectic race where we had 11 cars DNF. Ultimately, he came out of it with points scored, and as a champion, that's the priority.
Absolutely, and Alex has got an interview for us now with another driver, of course, Juan Cota, who finished second in that race.
Exactly, we're talking with Juan Cota. Juan, you were definitely aiming for that P1, but I know that if you had just a few more laps, you could have tried. How did you feel though? Because coming here, you haven't been in any of the rounds so far, you haven't driven so much this year, but you come and deliver immediately.
Yeah, I feel quite happy of the result. It still be a sprint race, but anyway, it's a good result. Not bad for being 9 months without getting in a racing car. So it's nice. I'm happy for the team, but still more happy that we have plenty of work that we need to do to put the car on P1 on quali and try to go for the win on a future race.
What do we expect for tomorrow?
Well, on quali 2 didn't go as expected, but it was okay. I just tried to get some information of the car, just keep improving the car and myself, because there's still plenty of gap to improve on myself, and just to get information and improve the car and myself.
So you haven't been in the car for 9 months, you made a pretty strong case that someone needs to put you in a car.
Yeah, it's difficult with motorsport with the economic issue, but it's okay.
Juan, time to enjoy it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Lovely stuff. Juan finishing second there, but yeah, as Alex pointed out earlier, Zach, he obviously wanted to go for that win. He's full of confidence, but at the same time, though, he's humble and knows that he's still got things to work on and get the team behind him to propel him to the success that he's clearly got on his mind.
Yeah, and as a driver, understandably, you're going to be aspirational. You're going to be confident. And a driver, particularly like Juan, who very clearly has not had the easy ride that I'm not going to say a lot of drivers have had, but some drivers have had through their motorsport career, where half of the battle isn't, you know, dealing with the on-track stuff. It's actually, can I even race the next weekend? Or if I crash, can I pay for the damage repair? And that's the stress that does ultimately affect your racing. You're going into the weekend going, well, if I crash, that's my weekend over. I can't afford to pay the damage repair. And you know, to still have that type of confidence to go in and still deliver a result, being out of the car for, like you said, 9 months, coming into a circuit like Imola, in a race as crazy as that. Fair enough, it was under safety car for the best part of it, but still, again, the mentality to deal with that and fight at the front, not easy in the slightest.
No, at another angle there of the start accident, and it just gets stranger and stranger. Every time you keep an eye on Feldman, as soon as he gets moving, it just looks like he completely aimed at Tan Van. But obviously, it's the case that we argued earlier that he could have drivers next to him this way, then that way, moving around and keeping an eye on them. Red flags, obviously, that first version of the race, let's call it. And then we had the first of the safety car restarts, and the real talking point was the fact that Huizenrode absolutely smashed each of those restarts. Didn't have to defend too hard, got away nice and cleanly. There is the 33 being turned around, Perard ending up on the apex. So Perard was actually involved in both incidents. He put him to the back of the grid there, and then was the car later on collecting the number 31. But a big talking point that Delagnol is not taking part in the rest of that race there, Zach. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he picks himself up for tomorrow.
Yeah, he just has to reassure himself, I think, that he's got the pace. He won race 1, and he's very capable of doing it. Race 1, ultimately, he was in control of losing because he, darted to the left and cut Keanu Al-Azari up on the initial race start. But his pace and his consistency was there. He's a podium contender for sure, and going into tomorrow, I believe he's starting P4 for tomorrow's race. Indeed he is, so he'll be on the what will be the outside second row of the grid on that run in towards Tamburello. Plenty of opportunities for him to go forwards and deliver on that potential, but he needs to make sure that he gets his head in the right space first, and that's going to be the case for a lot of these drivers. They've now got a lot of time this evening to dwell on that, and they don't want to end the weekend on a low. So they might go into it fired up, frustrated, and with something to prove, or they might go into it slightly cautious and maybe a little bit timid as to not repeat the same mistakes. I think it's either going to be one side of the spectrum or the other, to be honest.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers react to each side of the spectrum very differently as well. Some of them can handle it when they're fired up, and they can channel that into something good. You know, British touring car reference again. Matt Neal was always really good at when he was fired up. channeling it into something good rather than it being sort of over the top. Whereas other drivers would get fired up and then, they would start to show more and more mistakes, more and more issues. So I'm intrigued to see, like you are, that the drivers sort of respond differently tomorrow to that. But that was a scary, scary moment that for Al-Azhari there, with that left rear broken and the car hopping and skipping back onto the circuit. Powell did a great job to avoid him and not end up in the wall. And hats off again, actually, to Al-Azhari there, because he pulled the car over but got it behind the barriers in a position that wasn't going to bring the safety car out again. He did it in such a good fashion that it didn't affect the race. Sure, there was only one lap left, but even still, it meant that we still had green flag racing right until the end, and Huizenrode took his first victory of the season. A victory for which he will receive a trophy in just a sec, but I'm told we can quickly throw down to Alex before the podium gets underway.
Exactly. We put everything that we can to get at least a little bit of time with each of our podium finishers. Finally on the podium. I know that you knew that you had the speed, you knew you had the car, but you needed the luck as well. Maybe today wasn't the most exciting race, but a P3 is a P3.
Yes, it is. Well, thanks to you, and also I want to congrats and say massive thank you to all the mechanics, because I had a crash on race 1. It was very unfortunate, but the mechanics managed to make it, and the car feels amazing for this race. And yeah, honestly, feels so good, mate. Like, I have been waiting for this such a long time. So yeah, feels amazing, and yeah, I just want to enjoy the moment, and yeah, that's.
Motivated for tomorrow then, even though I know it's not the same or starting order, of course?
More than motivated, because I know I have the car, I have the speed, and I have the motivation. That is key. So yeah, we will try to do our best, and yeah, very thankful for also all the people watching me. I know my mother, my father are watching, and also all the people that follow me. I'm very thanks to all of you.
We know that Argentinian fans are very, very passionate, and I'm sure they'll be very happy to watch you on the podium. We'll let you get prepared for the podium. Time to enjoy.
Thank you very much. Bye.
I'll tell you one thing, I'm just very jealous of Gennaro's hair. He's got fantastic hair, hasn't he? But either way, he's very fired up for the rest of the weekend. Of course, still a bit of time to go between now and tomorrow's race, but it's an early start for the drivers as well, actually, isn't it, Zach? It's not like they get long to get to the circuit in the morning and then, of course, watch the rest of the racing, take in the atmosphere and sort of hype themselves up. It's going to be straight to the circuit, straight in the car, I imagine.
Yeah, and in terms of that, a lot of these drivers will have a lot of a pre-race ritual. In terms of nutrition, how early are they going to have to wake up before the race in order to make sure that gets done to an effective standard as well, right? Do they want to do a warm-up with their personal trainer? You don't want to get into a car really stiff, so you are going to need to spend maybe half an hour, 40 minutes warming up, making sure you're well fed, you're well hydrated as well going into the race. You don't want to be getting into a car still half asleep. So, yeah, even though it's an early start, it's going to be a tough one for these drivers to manage. I don't think it'll be largely consequential, because I'm sure these drivers know what an early morning feels like, to say the least, but it's definitely something to bear in mind. The fortunate, position for them to be in is the fact that it is slightly earlier in the morning, which means the sun won't have been beaming down on the circuit for as long. They might be able to be fortunate enough to have a slightly cooler track temp for race 3.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool to see how that race unfolds. Of course, we have our podium now. Trapper taking third, Kota taking second, and Huizenrode taking the race victory. And as a result, we will have the Australian national anthem. And that, I think, is the radio edit of the Australian national anthem there, the very shortened version of it, but I'm sure Huizenrode won't mind. He'll be happy to at least hear that blasting over the tannoy here at Imola after taking that first win of the season. And, well, like we said, Zach, he had to deal with the more difficult parts of these races, I guess. Sure, not the full longevity of it, but he had to do the restarts multiple times there, and he got it right each time.
Yeah, it's, the race is no less difficult as a result of the circumstances. It's just a different type of difficult, right? Instead of getting into a rhythm and being consistent, he had to snap himself back in, build up the pace immediately on 3 separate occasions, and that is just as difficult. The tyres maybe not quite stone cold, but still maybe not racing temperature. He's still going into almost every corner a little bit cold himself. The tyre in the car might be fine, but himself, he's going into it maybe not with 100% confidence. It's only on maybe lap 2 or 3 of a green flag period do you then start building the confidence. He's then also got the psychological pressure, I suppose, of having 29 cars, or maybe slightly less than that after each safety car restart, behind him as well, pressuring him into turn 1. Juan Coto himself, admittedly was not scared to go for a move. So for Huizenrode, fair enough, he didn't have to be necessarily, consistent over a long stint. He had to be consistent on 3 separate short ones, and that is equally as difficult.
Yeah, absolutely right. It really puts a lot of pressure on these drivers, and well, I mean, even though they are still very young, the sort of experienced heads they have on their shoulders are always very, very impressive. And there is the champagne fight, well and truly underway, and Huizenrode and his engineer there clearly enjoying the moment, and a big, big handshake for the two of them. And they can go and enjoy their evening, I'm sure. It won't be a long evening with how early we start again tomorrow morning. We are back at 8:25 local time tomorrow. I've been Chaz Draycott with the wonderful Zach Sweeney, and we hope that you will join us tomorrow morning from Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edina Ferrari for the next round of EuroCup 3.